So when I went on to work, making sure, what am I doing with my own personal funds? So I think I strongly suggest actually for persons to look at investment clubs for younger people, because one, when you invest young, that compounding, you can grow, grow, grow. So I think it's a great way to help that for young people to learn. And it really helps people to be thinking about just the global economy. We're a capitalist society and capitalism rules, and it's good to be aware of where money is and how it impacts the community and how you can be part of it to also create wealth. So, so for me, it was a learning. I've enjoyed the learning, and I think it's actually allowed me to grow in ways that I wasn't expecting.
And even how did it kind of shape and change your view as a young person having this family investment club? Because I'm always kind of keen on when young people or young adults have this type of exposure and the different decisions that they're making. So you started in the investment club, but did that give you the awareness to start saving for retirement early, or what kind of other things did it also influence?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. So, when you go to a company and they have, so when you go to a company and they offer you like the 401k and the different plans, a lot of times persons who are younger or may not think to invest and do the matching funds and things like that. So I think for me, when I started my work life, I was more looking not at what is your retirement package and what is my package. I'm in the field of social work. We are not the most highly paid. So I knew I needed to go ahead and create my own wealth. It made me also kind of open up my own investment account to kind of just, put a little here, put a little there. So I'm on a slow build, always can do more, always could do better. But it made me kind of think about just not, I'm a bleeding heart for the community, but I also want to be able to retire one day and be okay. So I think that has been useful. And also just thinking about, you can take money that you have and save, and you can use it to, do other things in life. And, I think one thing that happens so often when I think about just not just in I don't know, I'm Black, so the Black community, we are sometimes don't have that cushion or that wealth to pass down to other generations. I think about, I have friends their parents were able to sell some stocks and give them money to purchase a home. So I think kind of looking at how we can build wealth so that we can pass it down to other generations. So sometimes the wealth, we're creating is really not even just for our personal selves, but helping to lay that foundation. So when there's an emergency, when something happens, you have that balance of savings. And I think that's something you have to learn. To me, it's easier to learn early versus to learn when you're 60. It can be harder, it's something that's, I think that is a value that you can learn in investment clubs. I think so. I've kind of learned how I can produce and grow and not just consume. And I think that is something that's important and that can be really taught in an investment club early on when you're having good conversations. So I think one thing I will say if we're doing an investment club, especially if you have quite a range of personalities and ages, is to allow space for everyone to participate. And allowing that space to kind of sometimes you have to have a few more discussions, and you may not be able to make the decision right at that first meeting. So sometimes you may have to wait till the next meeting to really help cultivate people understanding about a stock, or just allowing space for maybe a younger person to share about their stocks. So I think that balance is really good for both parties to kind of learn and grow. And I feel that as the youth, I guess, in our investment club have grown, I think we're working at kind of creating that space where everyone is kind of learning and respecting those different paces that people learn and grow in that sense. So in doing anything, you have to be very thoughtful about it. I wouldn't just be spontaneous.
Wow. And this is Millie. I would just add, Janelle is always our special one. But when we originally started the club, Helena's baby was the youngest at that time. And I believe he was 2 or 3. How old?
He probably was about 5, but I know we gave him an assignment.
No, he was under 5.
No, he was about 2.5 or 3, Helena.
Okay, well, I guess when you start talking and participating, but I understand.
but yeah, and I think what's also worth noting is that any subsequent additions to our family have actually signed up literally as soon as we had a name and a social security number, because Helena won't take money until she has a social security number. But our newest addition to the family, which is now Bob and my is our grandnephew. It just turned 2.
Mm-hmm.
So each baby has, they really have had a chance to have some track record. And Elizabeth has grandchildren. So all of the siblings, except Bob and I, have grandchildren who are now additions to the club.
Wow. And I have 2 questions. I don't know which one to do first. I want to ask Helena, because she didn't get the chance yet. Elizabeth did a wonderful job talking about her perspective when the club formed, when Bob brought it up at that Christmas get together in 99, 2000. Helena, what was your perspective when Bob is bringing this up about a family club? Were you for it? Were you against it? Were you on the fence? How did you feel at the moment, and how do you feel now?
Well, probably all of the above. Were you for it, against it, on the fence? And as the family knows, I'm pretty much a team player. And we do give Bob credit for being the visionary. And it just sounded like a very good idea and a way to organize your money in a fashion that you could relate to, and you could actually have a plan to go forward. So I was, on board, and I think I've been treasurer since day one. I don't believe we've ever had another treasurer, but in a way, I kind of think I might be treasurer by default also, because I was a math major, that type of thing. And so I have been, all in from the beginning. And like Janelle said, the reason I'm probably thinking about my adult son now, because when he was able to speak, we gave him an assignment, and the assignment was be the stock market monitor, because back in the day when you had a newspaper, you could read the summary of what the stock market's high and low and close every day. So he literally, look, we're trying to get him on now, but back then when I had control, he was on all of those meetings. And my point is, now we're working with Nia, who's Joel and Corinne's granddaughter, because she has an assignment to study the diversity. So I'm just saying, I've been all in from the beginning, because we're such a closely knit family. And usually when Bobby says something, or Margaret Lorraine, I'm a yes person, I'm in. And because I'm the middle girl. So it just has a security blanket type feeling. So we have just done very well, but we opened that manual, and we've kind of really not deviated. And that's probably how we've made it to 20 years. And we've been able to grow and develop.
Wow, thank you, Helena. And I want to get back to Liz, because I know she started us off, and I know she liked to stay quiet. And first, let me say thank you for being with us, Liz, because I know you tried to scoot on out. But I really wanted your perspective also to be shared, because you have the gun ho, you have the new people, you have the no people, and I want to make sure that all the perspectives are shared, because as people listen, they're going to encounter everybody, whether it's a family club or not. You're going to have people not just all yes. But the question I have for you is, going back to when you could see this day back then, and your son, at least one of them, saying, no, I don't want to be a part of it. How is it now getting your grandkids into it? Talk to us about how you've been including them, and and what maybe role they have been playing as they've grown up, because I think that's an interesting dynamic.
Well, with my son now, and he's listening, but now I've been so excited about talking about seeing 2021 or 2020. He and his wife have gone off the board and have their own stock portfolio. They have several stocks, and it has been fun to be at his home, or he'll come and say, "Mom, look at this. Look how it's grown," or "Look what I have now." So it branched out with them even taking an extra interest with the grandchildren, because Helena brings such great visuals along with her treasury report. And so my oldest grandson is 11, and so he can look at some of the reports, or we make him look, and he knows that he's a part. He doesn't fully understand, but he knows that he's got some money or getting some. One of the things I want to also mention too, in starting up, one of the things we had to discuss were the dues. How much would each family member pay? And so with 20 years, 25 years, our dues have not changed. And I have always felt that they were in such an increment where it was not a hardship on anyone. One of the things Bob told us day one, or told me, that Liz, this is not money that you're gonna be using. Look at it long-term. Don't look at this as something 5 years from now you plan to get out. He told us from day one, this is actually money you don't think about. He told us from day one, if the market goes down, you don't get frustrated, because this is money you're not thinking about anyway. And so I think that having our dues set at such monthly price, if you will, whatever, it has not been a hardship, and it's been where everyone can keep up with the dues and keep the club at a steady flow.
Thank you, Liz.
And where my grandkids hopefully one day will take on their own, because it's at such a rate as that.
And is it $25?
Yes.
Okay.
Monthly.
And how many club members do you have in the family club right now?
13.
Approximately. Okay.
13.
Okay.
And I think it's about 5 that are under 18, I would guess.
Oh, nice.
Yes, that's
a
right.
nice one.
It's 13 partnerships. And that's a very important word, because in our family, there are 4 siblings. And I can just use myself as an example. I'm my own partnership, because my husband is not in the club. He's our in-house advisor, but he's not in the club. Whereas, say, Bob and Millie are a partnership, or some of the other nieces and nephews are partnerships. So it's 13 partnerships, but we have more members or human beings in. And as the youngsters join, they are their own partnerships. Mm-hmm. So that is the way, we are formed.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know how many individual people that is, Helena? Do you know,
well, it's 13 partnerships, and then we have about 4. Their partnership is a husband-wife team. Okay. So what, 13, 14, 15, about 18 human, members, so to speak. But it really is based on partnership, because the dues are per partnership. Your ownership percentages are per partnership. It is not per, individual member. So everything is based on the partnership. So that's a key word.
I was just going to add 2 quick things. One is Helena was very modest. Not only does she do the treasurer's work, but she really embellishes the report with a family newsletter. And it's always got updates about who's accomplished what, whose birthday it has been, or anniversaries that are coming up. So she really does incorporate the family news in it in a really nice and fun way. But back to the startup, the other reason, not just the fact that I wanted to help our family do what we were doing in the community, you have to be real strategic about a lot of these things. And Helena had just decided to retire from her full-time job. And I knew that of all our family members, she had to be the treasurer. I knew she would be excellent at it. I also know that she knows how to play bridge, and she has a whole lot of other friends, and she's a Delta. And so I thought, I have to get on her new routine schedule pronto. Otherwise, especially the bridge players were going to snap her up and all of her time. So we got in on that schedule as it was being revamped as she was retiring. So those are the kinds of things you really have to think through when you're trying to get your club started. If you've ever read Barnes' book, Good to Great, and it really is about getting the right people in the right places to have your organization thrive. And there's really a lot of truth to that.
And I actually want to piggyback on what Uncle Bobby's saying. I think we've been 20 years in the game, so I think we're also looking at the other side of what that transition looks like. So as we have our younger generation, quote unquote, grow, I think we have to look at what the mentoring process is to make sure your club continues on. So if you're doing a club, you're having a club, I think it's important to make sure you're connecting with different people and different skill sets within the club, so the club will still stay. Because we've been fortunate to have an Aunt Helena who wishes to be the treasurer until she forever. But for those who have clubs who don't have that, you want to make sure you're kind of nurturing a relationship to have that transition of leadership, have that transition of treasurer, have that mentoring taking place, because I think that's where a lot of times challenges with organizations have when there isn't a sharing of power or sharing of knowledge and dependent on one person. So I think we're kind of at a place also where we're kind of recognizing how is our leadership set up? How are we sharing information? How are we helping to kind of make sure persons in my generation set are also involved and having some decision-making opportunities.
Yeah, I just like to also add some important dynamics in this Wynn family. I came in a little late, so I don't know if we, as they say, given all due respect to our fabulous older sister, who is the president of our club. And her daughter, Janelle, is the vice president. So you can see by the way Janelle has blossomed that she didn't fall far from the tree. Our president is magnificent. So as you can see, and I might be the treasurer, but that family shows me so much love. They tell me I'm up in some bubble. Why are you always smiling? I say, with a family who loves you like my family loves me, you're going to smile. So it's important, just to keep it, together and try to support the efforts and not take people for granted and try to bring out their skill. And our younger generation, Janelle, the GCs, Joel, Corinne, they're coming within their own, because now people are beginning to do research with the SSGs, and we can feel their strength growing and picking up. And our oldest sister for years, if we voted on a trade, we have an executive committee. I don't know if Bobby has explained that. We have a wonderful structure. If everybody's not on the call, she had what they call telephone poll. Everybody would be polled. She got everybody. We never have done anything where it just didn't get unanimous consent, or at least everybody's feeling about it. So I think that's just, I wanted to bring that out as to the personal dynamics in this, because when you have 4 siblings, personally, I think that's a lot. And for all of us to still be unified, and all of us are married, so the spouses are there. Our spouses have what they call the in-law club. So we got it going on.
You know,
It
I
was a
mean,
pleasure to meet you out. You came to New York.
oh, of
You
course.
are
That's why
so
you always
special.
gonna be my friend, Miss Helena, because
We use you as a role model for young people.
I would like to say one thing, piggybacking off what she said. 4 siblings, our families, our niece and nephews. My husband is a partner. And so also someone starting a club, will you let other cousins come in that see the success of the club, or other relatives that see the success or hear about it, or whatever? We have bylaws, but I want to say for myself, that's one of the things I also have enjoyed with the 20 years of the club. We have kept it just the siblings, their spouses, and their offspring. I think we have had some inquiries of other relatives that would have liked to have been a part, because as Helene was saying, I think you look at your dynamics, and if we kind of know how each other, or we get along. I'm a minister, so Helene's the trade. I pray for them. When they're making these decisions, when they doing all this, I say, you all go on. I'm praying. Y'all handle it. But I just want to mention that, because if you have a family investment club, you might have other family members from the extended family, the cousins or whatever, that might want to be a part, and it's something you need to think about.
yeah, and all I was just gonna say was that it's so beautiful to have you all on and sharing it, because one, being a Black family and being one that's already tight knit, and then taking it to that next level to create a family investment club, and hearing the experiences, hearing the inputs, hearing that you all decided to take a part but didn't feel pressured. I mean, it's just been beautiful to hear. And going to your point, Miss Clausel, we've had another club on, Howard Johnson's family club, which also included some extended, cousins and aunts, uncles, and so it is that, and that's why we have this show. That's why we have My Investing Story, because for us as African Americans in our community and in other relationships, a lot of times we are not aware that there are some successful Black harmonious family investment clubs. And so thank you all for saying yes to the invitation to share your story, because the work that we all are doing, starting with Bob and Climb, starting with Jackie and myself with Better Investing, we really are making a concerted effort to do all we can to provide the support, to be a resource to all those African American, Black and Brown communities that want to learn this, whether individuals or investment clubs, or people getting together, even start investment clubs. Because I think as long as we can continue to share our stories, and they can see themselves in us, and we can be that resource and be that bridge, we can definitely help them to get to where they want to be. And a lot of times it's where we are. So with that to be said, I do want to open it up, whether it be starting with you, Ms. Clausel, or you, Janelle, for what are your closing remarks, and even Jackie, as we wrap up. What are your closing remarks to a lot of people that's listening, that's new? They are not investing yet. They are not members of Better Investing yet, but they want to get started and they want to know how. So the floor is yours.
I'll start my closing remarks. First of all, thank you so much for this opportunity. We really had a nice time to share. It's always good to see my family virtually. And it's just also good to see what you're doing here by sharing as I said, the gospel of better investing and wealth building. I do want to say, as someone who is not, a financial advisor, an economist, et cetera, I think better investing and doing an investment club is a great way to learn and grow for the home and small investor. I think it's also important to be thoughtful. I think it's nice to work with other well-rounded, well-meaning people, because learning is important. Also, from getting to know companies, getting to know what investing is, helps you kind of gain traction, gain understanding, so you can kind of move it forward in your own economic development, in your own personal life. So I definitely would say to those who are listening or thinking about it, definitely go forward and give it a try. I would say also, be thoughtful and how you're doing it. I think with keeping that balance of it is a club. So having some balance of while you're very business oriented, but think of ways that you can make it enjoyable for people to still stay engaged. Business is wonderful, but engagement is also important. People learn when they're also kind of engaged and wanting to kind of come to the next meeting and to stay with it. And I think that's something that you really have to be thoughtful about to make it happen. But I'm excited about it in the work that's going on. And I think it's has a lot of opportunity. And always say, give yourself grace and give others grace, because sometimes we are amazing and sometimes we also can grow a little bit. And so when you have grace, it makes any organization better and do well. So thank you so much for your time. I'm just so proud of you on that board. So look, Black Girl Magic. And I also do want to say a shout out to Hampton University. That's another reason why, we are doing well, is because many of us went to Hampton University, and Hampton University does excel. So we do want to also let people know about the other HU. Thank you.
My sister went to Hampton, so yes, the other HU.
Okay, my closing remarks. I'm a graduate of Tuskegee University, Tuskegee, Alabama. And my closing remarks, I just want to say thank you so much for allowing us to share and allowing me to share, because I didn't really come on to share, but I thank you so much for this opportunity. And I would just encourage any family to at least make a start. And one of the things that Bob said, day one, is money that you don't think about. It's money that's for the long term. And when you see the stocks going up or down, don't get frazzled or whatever, because you're not thinking about that money anyway. And Ionnie started off, see the future, see long range, and not be discouraged, because actually with our son sitting there saying no, my husband and I signed him up as a partner. And so for years, we just paid the first part of the years. We just paid for him. And through prayer or whatever, and then he just started coming on. And like I said, now he's branched off and got his own thing going as well. And so not to be discouraged, and just love your family. But thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ms. Liz, for coming on. Let's do Helena first, because we all know how Bob is going to take us to the house. So.
Well, I won't be long, but I must say, thoroughly enjoyed this session, and thank you so much for inviting our family. And we certainly wish everybody well. This has been a wonderful experience for us also to be with all of you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Miss Helena.
So Bob, you're gonna take us home?
Well, I was going to see if Ionnie was going to unmute me. She had me muted. But actually, this is really a moment for me to see my family really sharing the good news about the investment club after 20 years of experience. Seeing Jackie and Ionnie, who are now board members, really beginning to carry the message forward. And of course, we have wonderful people that are on this Zoom. I recognize some of the names of individuals who are all ears because they're about to start their own investment club. So it's wonderful to be able to be a guide and somewhat of an inspiration for others. My nephew, who is the closest thing I have to a brother or a son, is on, and he's been fantastic in so many ways. There's so many sub stories we could tell about how the family helps one another, just way beyond just this investment club. But Janelle alluded to the socioeconomic dynamics of this country, and there's a lot to be said about not only how we got where we are, but where are we going? And I think that investment clubs, I always say, is the closest thing we have to a silver bullet. And I've worked for government for 25 years, and I've come to the conclusion, although I'm happy that we've got good visionary governmental leaders, they cannot do it for us. We have to do this. We're really happy to do what we're doing, but it's what we have to do. And we have to learn this and get it out into our community. So it's far beyond just our family. It has to do with what we can share with others so that others can participate. It's really interesting, the backdrop of yesterday and today for people who have been following the stock market. While I was on mute, I took a call from one of our high school members of my Milwaukee Investment Club. Well, yeah, she's been in our, and Ionnie has already interviewed her. I won't call her name because of the story I'm gonna tell. And she's just such a wonderful student that I've known since 8th grade that I said, in addition to being in the Milwaukee Investment Club, I'm marching you right down to Charles Schwab, and we're opening up an account, and here's your first $50. We're gonna get you started. And a couple of stocks have gone absolutely crazy the past couple of days. She happened to have been in one of the crazy stocks. So she was just calling me and saying that her mom had told her her account is over 4 figures now. And so she wants to find out what to do about that. So I'll be calling her after this. But I guess Ionnie was right that I just tend not to be able to shut up when it comes to this investing and this economic empowerment, because I think it is the answer. And I look forward to being able to have many more discussions like this with many more people. Now with Climb USA teaming up with Better Investing, I think we have a pathway that can lead a lot of people into a much, much better, more empowered life, and social justice will follow. Believe me, you get your money, your finances right, and social justice will be in your back pocket.
Yes, and Bob, we love you. I mean,
You.
because you over the decades have unselfishly just given yourself and invested in so many of our communities, your community, our communities. And I think that the proof is in the pudding. Charity begins at home. And that's why, to me, I don't know about nobody else. I know Jackie with me and my mama with me, but you are the real deal, because for you to have been doing and still continue to do the work that you do, but 20 so years ago decided, let me do this with my family. We're not going to get into some people that are on a pedestal and their own finances are in shambles. I think, again, the proof is in the pudding. And so we love to support you and your efforts because it's what we believe in. And with that being said, anybody still listening right now, if you are interested in what we're talking about and taking that next step, please visit betterinvesting.org. Also visit Climb USA, CLIMB USA.org. We have events and activities specifically tailored to the African American and Hispanic communities. And so if you, as my younger self would say, if you about this life, check us out, because we are doing the work. And, we're here. Feel free to reach out to us, connect with us. That is why we are here every Wednesday. Feel free to not just show up, but share with others, because this is a movement that we have not just started in 2020. This has been 3 to 4 decades in the making, and we're just picking up a certain level of speed and momentum. And we're all on the path of wealth building and community building and social justice. And so if you agree with any one of those, if not all of those, feel free to connect with us, because we will be reaching a lot more youth in this coming summer with the programs that we have planned and already rolling out. So with that, Jackie, you have anything?
I just want to say I feel honored and inspired. Like, I wish I was part of the family. But I want to thank you, and spending the last hour with you guys. It was so great to hear and feel like I was a part of the club myself by describing, what a close-knit family you are, but also a close-knit club. And I think you serve as an example of how wonderful it can be, spreading the knowledge, spreading the love, and teaching not just your family, but teaching everyone around you about investing. And Bob, you give a lot to your family, but I know you give so much everywhere else. And that's what we need to do to get rid of the headlines that say, minorities don't invest, Black people don't invest. We are the ones that will change that. So hearing your club, believe me, it touches a lot of people and a lot of families. So thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you to the entire Wynn family that is on, for being a blessing to all of us tonight, and for those listening in the future. So thank you all, and have a wonderful good night.
Right.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much,
Pleasure to be
McNeil's
here.
and
Have a great
Jackie. Nice to see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye, family.